And let me say something here about the Iranian situation that nobody else will tell you. It doesn't matter. I'm watching the news come out of Iran about how people are rioting in the streets, and I'm seeing the press say, "Oh my goodness, look at this!" And there's a real reformer, and why would they do this? And yada 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 yada. And I'm thinking to myself, are they so blind? Is the media so blind? I understand the Iranian people being blind because we are. But what I see in the Iranian situation is a reflection, an extreme version of us. It's extreme because they're lighting cars on fire. But basically, they're tearing themselves apart over who's going to be the president. That's what we've been doing, tearing ourselves apart. Now, we haven't lit cars on fire, but they have. But pretty much we're on that road. I mean, we're tearing each other apart every step of the way. And here's where the comparison, I think, gets spooky. It doesn't matter. In Iran, they've got the system of mullahs. And they have all the mullahs together. It's the Supreme Council. And it's a theocracy. So imagine, if you will, a group of our Supreme Court. That our Supreme Court really is the one in charge. They make, well, this isn't really that far a stretch, is it? They're the ones that tell everybody exactly what the law is, what it can be. But they've gone the extra step in Iran to where they pick the candidates. So in other words, is if our Supreme Court, everybody had to apply for a permit to run for president of the United States, and the Supreme Court said, yeah, nah, you're not going to run, you're not going to run, you're not going to run. But we approve these guys. So they're rioting in the streets for a scrap of freedom. Nothing's really going to change because the mullahs are in charge. It's a theocracy. The president is really a figurehead. He's to make everybody feel like they're involved. They're not. It doesn't matter. Because the mullahs have already said you're going to pick between these two guys. For instance, the Fed. Really? We're going to get a crazy new Fed? We're going to get a new chairman. Ben Bernanke is going to be gone in a year or so. Who are we going to get out? Doesn't matter. The president doesn't get to choose him. Most people don't know this. The president gets a list of people that are approved by the Fed. And he can only pick from that list. That's not a choice. I do that with my 3-year-old. As we were getting ready for church yesterday. You want to wear these shoes or these shoes? I want to wear those shoes. No, those aren't a choice. These shoes or these shoes. That's what you do with your children. You narrow down the choices so they're not wearing swim fins to church. But when you have the ability to wear swim fins, that's when you're free. No swim fins here. There's no difference here in America except in its extreme. They're a theocracy. We're not. They have mullahs. We don't. But we have parties. Did you hear Bill Maher's rant this weekend? Bill Maher got on and was saying, Barack Obama, I still love him, but I mean, what's the difference between him and George W. Bush? I'll tell you what the difference is. And it's a huge difference. Speed. Not direction. Speed. We're going in the same direction. There wasn't a course change. There was a velocity change. That's it. Now, you can go around the edges and say, well, no, but he's doing this and he's doing that. Well, okay, there's some window dressing, and there's some things that we're, for instance, waterboarding. That's a pretty big issue. But generally speaking, we were going in that direction anyway. We're still having that debate. It's just, one's on one side, one's on the other, but it could go back the other way. You know that, and I know that. Understand what I'm saying, that they're not the same people, and there are differences, et cetera, but we're fighting over the scraps of freedom. George Bush was the one who started the bailouts. He was the one who said, if George Bush were in office, I bet you the only difference would be the size of the stimulus package. Instead of 787, it would have been maybe 400. But remember, he's the one who gave us the first $700 billion bailout in TARP. So it's not that different. We're tearing each other apart over what? We're yelling and screaming at each other that you're un-American, you're this, you're that. Over what? It's a game that's being played. I'm getting a lot of heat from the mainstream media because they think that I'm speaking code language to you every day when I say it's us versus them. And I don't know when I've ever said it's us versus them. But let me explain it to the mainstream media. It's us versus them. Them being the weasels in Washington that want to control things. Left, right, middle, doesn't matter. That think they know better than the average citizen. Those who want to take and gather power for themselves. It's a study from Rasmussen that talks about the people. There is, I think it's 7 or 12% of the American people that when they were surveyed, they said they trust government more than the average citizen. That they believe government and corporations have our best interest at heart. That they think that governments and corporations, when they're put together, is a good thing. I can't remember. It's between 7 and 12%. Well, I contend that 7% is the media and those in Washington. It's those people. That's them. That's 7% or 12%. And most of them are the ones that control the opinions on television and radio and everything else. That believe that they know better. That's a mullah. That is the Supreme Council. That they'll just cut it down for you and they'll say, these shoes or these shoes. I don't want to wear shoes. No, that's not a choice. That's not freedom. That's Iran. That's not the system that we've had here. That's the progressive system that has been created for us. That's the illusion that we're living under. It's the illusion, and it's easy to see when it's in somebody else's country. That's the illusion that they're living under. It's just a more extreme version of it. But it's really not that different. And I've been watching it all weekend, asking, is anyone going to say, who cares about the free and fair elections? The mullahs win. The people don't win. The people think they're winning. Just like my 3-year-old thought she picked her favorite shoes yesterday. No, she didn't. They weren't the ones she wanted to wear. She wanted to wear swim shoes.
Even, you mean the flippers?
No, it was the actual swim shoes.
Okay. Because even entertaining, like, for example, they're talking about Khomeini coming out and saying, "Oh well, we're gonna probe into these elections." Even entertaining the fact that they're doing that is giving it credence. It's like even if they did it, it still would mean nothing, and no one's saying that. We're going to look into it. It's the corruption of their own system. And the people who are, you know what that is? That's Barney Frank. There's got to be some oversight. Who is overseeing the overseers?